There's this field of science that is it's literally all around you. It's in everything that stretches, flows, squishes, or even breaks. It's called continuum mechanics, and it's basically the science that describes how all the stuff you can actually touch behaves. Okay, so let's just jump right in with this. It sounds like one of those weird riddles, doesn't it? Earthquakes, memory foam, sound waves. I mean, on the surface, they seem to have absolutely nothing to do with each other. But I promise you, by the end of this, you'll see how they are all connected by the exact same deep principles. To get our heads around this, we have to start with it's kind of a clever trick. A big one, actually. We have to be willing to pretend, just for a little while, that atoms simply don't exist. Now, obviously, physicists know the world is made of atoms. Of course they do. But just imagine trying to predict if a bridge is going to collapse by tracking every single atom inside of it. I mean, it's impossible, right? You're talking about trillions upon trillions of particles. So continuum mechanics brilliantly sidesteps that problem. It just zooms out and treats materials like a smooth, continuous stuff, averaging out all that chaotic atomic-level mess. So the really crucial idea here is that this is what's called a phenomenological science. And yeah, that's a mouthful, but all it really means is that it's based on what we can actually see and measure on a large scale, the phenomena, not the nitty-gritty atomic theory. And by simplifying reality in this way, we can come up with some incredibly powerful and actually pretty simple equations to describe how the world works. Okay, so if we're going to treat everything like this big continuous blob of stuff, how do we even begin to talk about what happens when you poke it or squish it? Well, it all boils down to two really important words, stress and strain. All right, this is the absolute core of it all, the fundamental cause and effect. Think of it like this. Stress is the cause. It's the force you're putting into the material, all the internal pushes and pulls. And strain, that's the effect. It's the measure of how much the material actually gives in, the squish, the stretch, the deformation that happens because of that stress. You apply stress, you get strain. It's as simple as that. Okay, but here's where things get really cool. Different materials connect stress and strain in totally different ways. So to get a handle on all the possibilities out there, scientists came up with two, let's call them perfect or idealized materials. These are our fundamental building blocks. First up, we've got the perfect solid, sometimes called a hook body. For this thing, the relationship is super simple. Double the stress, you get double the strain. No delays, you push, it deforms instantly. You let go, and bam, it snaps right back to its original shape. It has a perfect memory. The best analogy is just a perfect, bouncy spring. And then, on the complete other end of the spectrum, you have the perfect fluid, a Newtonian fluid. And here's the absolute key difference. For a fluid, the stress isn't about how much you deform it. It's all about how fast you're trying to deform it, the rate of strain. Just think about stirring a jar of honey. The faster you try to stir, the harder it pushes back. And when you stop, the honey doesn't spring back. It just sits there. It has zero memory of its old shape. This is like a dashpot, a piston slowly moving through thick oil. So, there we have it, our two basic Lego bricks. We've got the spring, which is all about perfect, elastic memory. And we've got the dashpot, which is about that gooey, energy-sucking flow. And with just these two simple ideas, we can start to build models for pretty much any weird and complex material in the real world. And this is where it gets really, really fun, because let's be honest, almost nothing in the real world is a perfect spring or a perfect dashpot. Most stuff is some weird mix of the two. We call this viscoelastic. So let's see what happens when we start clicking our Legos together in different ways. Okay, our first combo is called the Kelvin-Voigt model. And what we're doing here is putting our spring and our dashpot right next to each other, in parallel. You can just picture them side by side. What that means is when you push on it, they both have to move together at the same time. So what does that do? Well, let's say you apply a steady force, like you just put a weight on top of it and leave it there. That dashpot part, it hates moving fast, right? So the whole thing can't deform instantly. Instead, it slowly creeps into its new shape over time as that dashpot slowly gives way. The spring is trying to stretch right away, but the dashpot is holding it back, making the whole response sluggish and delayed. And boom, that right there, that's memory foam. You know that feeling when you lie down on it? You don't just sink like you would into a pile of pillows. You feel it slowly molding to your body. That slow, creeping action, that's classic Kelvin-Voigt behavior in the real world. All right, now let's take our Legos apart and reconnect them a different way. What if we put the spring and the dashpot one after the other, like links in a chain, in series? This is called the Maxwell model. Now, when you pull on the whole thing, the total stretch is just the stretch of the spring plus the flow of the dashpot. Okay, so picture this. We stretch this material out to a specific length, and then we just hold it there. We're not letting it get any longer or shorter. What happens inside? Well, at first, that spring is stretched tight, full of tension. But over time, that gooey dashpot part starts to flow. And as it flows, it lets the spring slowly unstretch, even though the whole thing is still the same length. The internal stress just melts away. It relaxes. And this leads to a really mind-bending idea. A material's behavior isn't fixed, it totally depends on how fast you mess with it. Like the quote says, if you pull on a Maxwell material really, really fast, that dashpot doesn't have time to react, so it just feels like you're pulling on a solid spring. But if you apply really slow, steady force, the spring doesn't matter much and the whole thing just flows like a liquid. It's just like silly putty, right? You can snap it in half like a solid, or you can leave it on a table and it'll ooze into a puddle like a liquid. All right, so we've got our perfect solids, our perfect fluids, and all these fascinating viscoelastic materials in between. Let's tie this all together now and look at the ultimate payoff. How does the personality of material change the way a wave, like sound or an earthquake, travels through it? So let's break this down. A wave is just energy on the move. In a perfect, springy solid, our hook body, that energy just zips right through. It's super efficient. But in a thick, gooey fluid, the Newtonian dashpot, all that movement creates friction, and the energy just gets turned into heat. The wave gets swallowed up. And our weird in-between materials? Well, they're in between. The Kelvin-Voigt material will always sap some energy from the wave, making it weaker. And the Maxwell material? Its response depends completely on how fast that wave is oscillating. It might act like a solid to a high-frequency wave, but a liquid to a low-frequency one. And that brings us full circle, right back to our original question. That slow, energy-absorbing creep that makes your memory foam mattress so comfy? That's the exact same principle that governs how the Earth's crust deals with an earthquake. The ground under our feet isn't a perfect solid. It has these gooey, viscoelastic properties. And those properties decide which seismic waves get absorbed and which ones travel for hundreds of miles. The squish of your mattress and the rumble of the Earth, they're literally two sides of the same scientific coin. How cool is that? So we're left with this really incredible thought. That hard line we imagine between solid and liquid, it's kinda not real. It's really just a question of time. Give it millions of years, and even solid rock will flow like a glacier. But in a fraction of a second, even water can act rigid if you hit it hard enough. So, as you go about your day, look at the world around you and think about the hidden fluid and the hidden solid in everything. It's a pretty wild thought.